Okay, this is scenario one. It's a small independent travel company. It's a real example from some friends of ours in Axis Community. They're going to buy Safari Space Holidays, so they're going to bid against everyone else. Now, to get on page one in those sponsored listings, it's going to take them about £2 per click if they've got a fairly poor, modest click-through rate. In other words, the ad doesn't perform too well. So what we've said is 1% is a fairly mediocre performance for a click-through rate for an advert. So Google is not going to give them any discount at this point. So we've got roughly £2 per click. We've also estimated in Google AdWords, you now know how to do that as well, 200,000 searches a year. So there's plenty to have a go at. So let's follow this through then. 1% of 200,000 visitors is 2,000 visitors. So they've got a maximum of 2,000 visitors will visit the website. Each one of those will cost them approximately £2 each. So if we set a campaign budget for this particular one of £2,000, we'll generate 1,020 visitors. How did we do that? £2,000 divided by £1.96 per visitor gives us 1,020. So basically for our £2,000 we're going to get 1,000 people visit. Okay, the first part of the calculation then is CPE, cost per inquiry. This is how much it will probably take in pay-per-click spend to actually make the phone ring with a qualified lead. Okay, so let's say this business converts 5% of visitors into inquiry. So these are just visitors at this point. At this point, we're looking at a visitor that is interested enough in the product that they're actually going to inquire, be it an email inquiry or pick the phone up. And this business has estimated that about 5% of all visitors will do that. I say 5% of 1,020 is 51 inquiries. So your cost per inquiry is your original budget of £2,000 divided by the number of inquiries that you actually get in the end. So cost per inquiry is £39. So it costs this travel business via pay-per-click about 40 quid to make the phone ring with a qualified lead. Okay, let's press on then. Cost per order. So this is about converting inquiries into order. This particular business is very passionate about travel and it's extremely good on the phone, very knowledgeable, and converts about 40% of everybody that rings up with a qualified lead, which is quite incredible. So 40% of our 51 inquiries gives us a total of 20 conversions into orders. So your cost per order is your original budget of £2,000 divided by your total number of orders. In other words, £2,000 divided by 20. So basically it costs £100 via pay-per-click to get an actual order based on their actual performance. Okay, finally then, your return on your investment. Average order value is about £2,500. Gross margin is not great on some of these products. It's about 20%, so there's about £500 of gross margin. In other words, after you've taken off the actual material costs for the product, the actual what's going to cost you to put that holiday package together. So it's going to cost £100 to acquire £500 of gross margin. So out of your 500 gross margin, you've then got to take off your cost of your click over that process. So you're left at the end with £400 of notional profit. That equates to 20% of the gross margin or 4% of the sale price. Okay, makes sense? Okay, let's do another bit more specialist. This is a lower value product. It's a ball bearing slide. It could be any industrial type of fixing or something like that. It's got an average order value of about £45. These things are, I don't know, £3 or £4 each, and people buy 10 or 15 at once to use in industry. Okay, it's more in the niche then. Instead of £250,000, now we've got 20,000 a year. 4% click-through rate, which is what this business actually performs at. It's possible to get 800 of those. In other words, there's 20,000 searches. If you get 4% of 20,000 searches, your advert appears 20,000 times, 4% of the time people click on it, you will get 800 visitors from Google AdWords. Your average cost per click is 84 pence. Your campaign budget is £672 a year to get all 800. Yeah. Cost per order, so this is direct online sales. There's nobody involved. They just look at the product and make an order or not. 10% of all visitors, so we're going to get 800 visitors. 10% of those on average are going to make a purchase, which is obviously 80 orders. Cost per order is your original budget of £672 divided by 80 orders. It costs £8.40 to generate that order. So it's cheaper than the travel one last time, but let's see if they're making money. Return on investment, average order value £45, gross margin of about £50, so there's about £22.50 of cost for the actual slides themselves. Leaves you with £22.50 of margin. It costs you £8.40 to acquire £22.50 of gross margin. So you're left with what, about £16–17 of notional profit. It's 37% of the gross margin, 19% of the sale price. And remember that the next time somebody makes a purchase from you, you're not gonna have to pay that cost. So you can stomach the hit of £8.40, knowing the next time you sell to them, you'll retain the full margin itself. Okay, scenario 3. This is online sale of DVDs. This is a very competitive market and product with not a great deal of gross margin in it, so actually quite difficult to make money at this. Let's explore it anyway. Discount space DVDs is going to cost you about 67p a click. In reality, you're going to pay less than that, but that's the Google estimation for somebody new to this market. 4% of click-throughs of those 24,000 will give you 960 visitors to your website. So 960 exposures to sell them potentially at this. At 67p, so your budget of £643 will get you 960 visitors. Okay, this is where it starts to run into trouble a little bit. Cost per order. If you convert 5% of those visitors, so 1 in 20 people who actually arrive at your website are convinced enough to actually place an order, you will get 48 orders. Sounds okay, but your cost per order is then cost you £13.40 to go acquire that order. Let's look at the return on the investment. This is where if you're doing this for a living, you possibly need to sit down. Because the average order value is £18, a gross margin of only about £3.60 to £4 because it's quite competitive and quite expensive to buy. £13.40 to acquire £3.60 of gross margin, 372% of the gross margin, and well over, actually a mistake there, it's well over 74% of the sale price. In other words, yes, you've made £3.60 margin on selling the product, but to get you that order has cost you about 5 times that. So the only way on that maths you could make money out of that is sell them 5 times as many DVDs, or pay 1/5 of the expected click price, or make your site perform radically better in some other way which would make sure the order value is big enough. So online sale of mass market low value products on minimum margins, even with some discount off your pay-per-click price there, it's going to be quite difficult to make that work. Okay, final scenario before you have a go then. This is a specialist niche services, fairly mid to high order value. This is the typical sort of product that a consultant or a business services type of operation might be looking at. 5% of 1,040 is 52 inquiries. Your cost per inquiry is the original budget divided by the total number of inquiries, which is £56. So it's cost this company £56 to get somebody to ring up to say, I'm interested in one of these marketing plans, will you come and see us or tell us about it? Okay, cost per order then. This company converts 1 in 4 people who actually ring up, 1 in 4 leads. So convert 25% of your 52 into orders, you get 13 orders. Cost per order is original budget, £2,900 divided by 13, 224 quid. So it's quite expensive to acquire this order, but this is quite a high value product. So let's see whether the maths adds up. Your return on your investment, average order value 1,500 quid. Hard to quantify gross margin for a business services thing because there isn't really too much necessarily material costs in there, it's more people's time. So let's say the margin is very high, 80%, there's £1,200 of gross margin, it's cost you £224 to acquire £1,200 of gross margin. So you're still left with over £1,000 to play with, 90% of gross margin or 15% of the order value. Okay, what we'll explore to summarise it is what kind of a product actually works best online, or is it possible to work all these products, and is there a magic formula for doing this?